Today we're going to be having a look at the Homey Pro. Now, a huge thanks goes out to the guys at Apollo Automation for arranging for me to get my hands on this device based on their recent integration with Homey. I was really interested to see how this device compares with Home Assistant. These two systems have some very interesting similarities. Both started just over 10 years ago and both were launched by founders of Dutch descent. What really separates them is that Home Assistant is a community-owned project, while Homey has just been purchased by the tech giant LG. Now, to be totally honest, Homey did send this device to me free of charge for review, but this video is not sponsored by them and they have no control over what I say about this device. So the Homey Pro is claiming to be years ahead of their competition. The all-new Homey Pro is the world's most advanced smart home hub. So let's have a look. When it comes to connectivity, they certainly have packed it all in here. We've got Wi-Fi, both 5 gig and 2.4. We've got Bluetooth. We've got Matter and Thread. We've got Z-Wave, Zigbee, 433 megahertz, and infrared, all within this hub. So let's have a look at the hardware. They've got a 1.5 gigahertz quad-core ARM v8. For memory, they've got 2 gigs of LPDDR4 RAM, and storage-wise, 8 gigs of eMMC flash. Out of the box, the Homey will connect to your network via Wi-Fi, but they do sell this additional Homey Pro Ethernet adapter for local connection. The Homey Pro can run entirely locally, but it does connect to the internet for updates, app downloads, and port forwarding. Local backups are available and can be made to either a Mac or PC. They do sell a cloud backup service for just $10 a year. One of the key things that interest me about this device is this graphical user interface for creating complex workflows. The Homey Pro is certainly not a cheap device. It's $399 US. So let's have a look at what we get in the box. First of all, we've got a 2.1 amp power supply. We've got our USB-C cable, a startup guide, and the device itself. Starting from the top, we've got a beautiful shiny surface, making this feel really high-end with the logo on the front there. On the front side, we've got our Homey Pro, and we've got our USB-C power connection on that side. And looking at the underside, it's got this rubberized mat, and it's got a reset button over here. Now, they did also ship with this product the Homey Pro Ethernet adapter. So that's just got your Ethernet port at the back here with your 2 little lights, and it's got a USB-C supply on the side there. Now, I do really like this beautiful LED RGB ring on the underside of this device. This is used as a status indicator. As you can see at the moment, it's got this multicolor ring going around, which is showing that the device is connected and operational. But it will change colors, for example, to a red when there's an error, a white when you're in the startup phase. Setup is straightforward. Once you've downloaded the Homey app, it'll ask you what your name is, as well as your last name, your email address, and a password that you'd like to use. Next, it asks you what device you're setting up. I'm using a Homey Pro. It asks you for your home address, and now it will connect to the device. It will ask for your Wi-Fi connection. Now it will go through an activation process, and it will download an update. So the setup process was very easy, but there was one thing that I didn't quite understand at first, but I soon figured out. You need to download an app for each manufacturer's device before you can add it to the Homey Pro. So if we're wanting to import Shelly devices, we need to download the Shelly app. Now, unfortunately, there are not apps for every type of device. Some of the apps are fully supported and developed by Homey Pro. Other apps have been developed by the community, and obviously you've got to bear in mind that there may be some errors on those apps. Now, there are no apps at all for certain devices, and some of them are pretty key. For example, rear link cameras. I have a lot of rear link cameras. At the moment, there is no integration. So having a look at our iPhone app here, it's a nice clear layout. On the bottom along here, we have a couple of sections. We have home, we have devices, we have flows or automations, and then we have a more section. So starting off with the home page, it states quite nicely up at the top here our temperature and our weather based off of our address that we put in. One thing that I needed to figure out was that if you press on a device, nothing happens. You actually need to hold it in to see the entities within that device. So here you can see we've got temperature and humidity. We can see our battery level. These are, for example, graphs. So if we go to humidity, you can see there it's busy drawing a bit of a graph for us. We have any associated automations, and over here we have a log of what's been happening with that device. We can also go in there and we can actually edit it. We can see that it's using the app for the Sonoff Zigbee. So if we go back to our front page, we also have some flows there perhaps, and we have a timeline. So it automatically knows it's tracking me at the moment, knows when I come home based off of me having the app on my device here. Next up, if we look at devices, it breaks it up into various categories over here. So we could select lights and it would show us our lights, and we could, for example, adjust the light slider over there. Now, each one of these needs to have an app for that, and I'll show you where that works now. Next, we've got our flows. This is our automations. I'm going to show you this more in the web-based app because that's where you can do the real cool graphical workflows. So on the more section at the back here, this is where you would go to find the apps. So you'll see currently that I've got the Apollo app, which is in an experimental mode. It's only working on some of the devices. I think it's working on the millimeter wave sensors and the air quality sensor at the moment, and not the others. And there you can see some of the other different devices. So there is even an integration into Home Assistant, which is really cool, but it doesn't bring through all the devices. Only certain entities are actually brought through from Home Assistant. So in order to download an app, I press plus over there. It will bring up this web interface, and then I would search over here to see if I could find, for example, so let's say Twinkly, those little Twinkly. Let's just see what comes up. That's those little LED strips. There we go, Twinkly. So you would then say, you would click on that, and that would then, you would install the app. You have to press that twice, and it will now download the app for us, and then we can connect those lights. Once it's done that, we can go back. So to add a device, we now go along to devices. We go hit the plus button and new device. Now, what I was confused with here was, first of all, I pressed Zigbee over here, but you actually have to press the brand button. So for example, I'm going to go and I'm going to try and add a Aquara device. So let's go here, add device. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a button. So mini button, let's just see, Xiaomi wireless. I think it's this one over here. So let's try this over here. So connect. Now what it tells us is to build a strong, okay, let's not worry about that. All right, so it's telling us to press the little pin into the back. So we'll go there, we'll press the pin in to put this into the pairing mode, and let's see what happens. Now we go continue the setup, choose a zone. So I'm going to select this to be in the bathroom, for example. We'll finish, and there we go. It's connected it. So now it's asking us if we want to create an automation, but I'll leave that till later. So there we go. We've now connected our little button. Now, in order to look at your dashboards, you select more over here and you select dashboards. You'll see that I've got two over here, so I can go there and we can see we've got a dashboard with a controllable LED light. We've got a power graph running over there, and we've got, for example, an Eve motion blind. So I can click on that and I can go and I can open or close that, or I can set it to a desired type of setting over there. So to create a new dashboard, you would just click the plus over there and you would start by adding widgets. So for example, I could say I want to add a device, maybe not favorite devices. let's go back and let's add selection of devices. So we can go in there and we can start selecting devices. So I might, for example, want to see my Apollo multi-sense, maybe not that one. Let's select a wall display and a Shelly 1 PM. Done. Add widget, and there we go. We've got 2 items on our dashboard, and you can just continue adding devices to your dashboards. We won't save this one for now. So this is our web interface, and we can go along here to the workflow creator. So we go create a flow. Let's make an advanced one. And now we select add when. So now we can select our Apollo MSR1. And what we want to do is, let's, for example, say when it becomes occupied. So there we go. Where is our occupancy? Occupancy turned on. There we go. So we'll select that as our first component. And we're going to say, then do such and such. So I'm going to take my Acquira light bulb and I'm going to turn it on. And all I do now is I drag and drop one to the next. So similarly, we can create a second one. When Apollo occupancy, let's just go down the bottom here, occupancy turned off. All right. And in this stage, we might want to say, let us wait. So let's delay it. So we can select that in over there, and we can change that, for example, to 30 seconds. All right, we'll drag that down and we will attach that. And then we want to turn our light off. So then we want to select our light and we want to turn it off. We'll connect that there and we connect that there. So this is the beauty about this system. Amazing graphical workflows. So in summary, what do I love about the Homey? I love the quality of the hardware, the fact that they've got all of the radios built into one device, and overall that graphical workflow engine. I would love to have something in Home Assistant like this, a Node-RED, where you could be so simple in creating your workflows. But before you guys get worried, Home Assistant is still by far the winner in my eyes. The reason for this is, first and foremost, it's an open source project and it is staying that way. Secondly, I absolutely love the new local voice control, especially when it works in conjunction with Music Assistant. I'm using it all the time to play my tracks on my vintage hi-fi. Another thing that I love about Home Assistant is ESP Home. Building your own sensors using ESP Home for me is fantastic. So yep, it's also way cheaper to get started, but yes, there is a little bit of a learning curve to get started with Home Assistant. So who would I say this Homey is for? Well, I think it sits somewhere between your really basic systems like the Amazon and the Google stuff and Home Assistant. It sits somewhere in between. It's quite a powerful system and it's got some really cool stuff, but it's a lot easier to get started with. So that's my overall thoughts about Homey Pro. I will be playing with it more and seeing where it goes, but overall, Home Assistant is by far still my favorite. That's all for now. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Please let me know if you have played with Homey Pro, what your thoughts are, and if you've enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.